come in and give you a recap of what is going on with that. What is going on, everyone? My name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast. I'm also Nerd Initiative editor-in-chief. And joining me on this stream for the first time on Nerd Initiative, I am super excited. As you can tell, my voice is yelling right now because this dynamic duo has been breaking down Agatha all along for so long now. Like, honestly, I watch it. I get my recaps from it. And they have their own coven that they're going to be talking about tomorrow night in a little deeper detail. And I don't want to steal any thunder, but I'm so happy that they're joining me for this recap of the finale that went down. Please welcome from the Bleeding Rainbow Comics podcast, LJ and Wen. Guys, what is going on?
Oh
Hello, I am shooketh to the core from the penultimate and ultimate episodes of Agatha all along. And no worry about stealing any thunder here. You are not Agatha Harkness, so I'm willing to share the thunder. We are excited to be here. It's our very first time doing anything with Nerd Initiative, and we're excited for that to go forward. And yeah, there's so many feels. My brain is scattered. We just finished Agatha all along.
Yeah.
And it's currently still setting. And as you can tell by the never-ending smile on my face, it had some impact.
Yeah, this one definitely had a lot going on, to say the least. I mean, obviously, Catherine Hahn, who has been just so dynamic in this role as Agatha, just coming in and stealing the show whenever she is on screen. And if she doesn't get some Emmy nominations for this, there is a big travesty going on.
Oh, of course. Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I liked WandaVision not as much as he did, but this show has just captivated me. Like, I think this is my number one MCU thing right now.
Now, usually when doing an immediate review or even in Coven Chat 24 hours later, I try to take into account recency bias. But this whole journey that we've been on for the past, 7 weeks, it's been insane. And to see that that's how we're going to end it. And I don't know, in your reaction, how much spoilers would you like us to get into?
I would say this. I mean, obviously, it's going all over the internet right now, so I will give the disclaimer to anybody that's joining this chat on replay. We are going to give a spoiler-free statement about the episodes, and then I'll give a quick countdown, and then all bets are off because it's already hitting the net. There's pictures going up left and right, so consider it fair warning here. So, guys, give me your spoiler-free statement on the finale of Agatha all along.
Okay, so I'll go first. I have so many things to say, but I'm not quite sure how intelligently I will articulate them. I will say I am very satisfied on all of the character journeys that we go on, both how we get there and where they end. I would say that each character, where they end up, is fitting for the character. I'm really excited to see what happens next for a couple of the characters. It's just, we get a lot more. Trying to not spoil. See, when we do Coven Chat, I can spoil all I want. But no, we get a lot more context, and we know that based on the trailers, and it's like a nice little bow on top. It's not like one of those jank bows that you just hurry up. It's one that was made with love and care, and that looks nice. And that it's one of those bows you want to save instead of throw in the trash.
It was everything I expected, but more. Like, it wasn't a bad thing. It was just, I was eating it up every minute.
Yes, yeah, it was.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, go for it. It met expectations, exceeded expectations, and for this show, anybody that knows me and my coverage of the show, I have impossible expectations for this show. But thankfully, at least in my opinion, and if anybody else thinks differently, then they're wrong. But in my opinion, the show did something that a lot of other shows lately have not done, and that seems like an impossible task. But not only did it start strong, but it really stuck the landing. I have good closure for everything going on in the show. It was written strongly from episode 1 to episode 9, and it didn't drop me for a second.
Yeah, the one thing about this two-parter they did, I really thought episode 8 was the stronger of the two.
Yes,
And I
I
really
did agree. I do agree.
and I think that you had such a big payoff for Agatha and Wiccan's journey that when we got to episode 9, it was a solid episode, but I almost feel like they should have switched places.
I can
And
see
Yeah,
that.
I wonder when they were writing it, where everything was. Again, I don't want to give spoilers away or anything, but you can tell from the episode titles and the thumbnail of it, it is a little bit out of the order that you would expect. And I think that that might be because of the writing order in WandaVision. Maybe they, for instance, the reveal of Wiccan in episode 5 for Agatha All Along, Jack Schaefer mentioned that a lot of those reveals were sooner than the audience thought they were or thought they would be in order to be more impactful. So I think that that's what they were going. And I believe episode 9 or pieces of episode 9 were originally part of a special. And that could be true or false.
yeah.
But I believe that there were pieces in there that were not intended to be the meat of episode 9. And you can tell, I mean, I ate it up.
That
But
second to
I can
last
definitely
episode.
tell why they released 8 and 9 together. It is, I think that getting both of them at the same time, it was a perfect match. But I think that if we had to wait for episode 9, then I could see some people being a little disappointed because it's very much an epilogue.
Yeah.
The end of that second to last episode, though, I just looked at LJ and was like, "Oh my god!"
I was about to say, if they ended Agatha All Along at episode 8 with a post credit, I think that they could have more than done that. I'm glad they didn't. There's a lot of meat in episode 8.
Yeah, there definitely is. Like I say, you get more payoff for what is going on, and especially for the journey. And then, like honestly, I think they could have done that. And if they slid in episode 9 ahead of time, and I think that would have given a little more gravity to what is going on with Agatha and the connection she has with Wiccan, because you finally get that full circle moment in episode 9, but then it kind of goes off to like, okay, we're going to have 30 minutes of this and then 10 minutes to go back and then really do that big payoff moment, which I mean, it does work for establishing the connection they're going to be doing. But I just feel like, okay, episode 8 was so strong. It was like, okay, it's a perfect epilogue, but it kind of left me wanting like, okay, maybe we reshuffle this around. It would have that big moment feel.
Yeah,
But
it does feel like we backtracked a little bit after on that last episode.
yeah.
Say, I think that the beginning of episode 9 could have easily been the beginning of episode 8 instead. But like I said, I'm not mad at it. I don't care what order we get it in. I think that the writing of episode 7 was so strong that I don't even care. I will give whatever they serve to me.
Yeah. And there was, like I say, they gave a lot to like the setup here. Like it really delivered on like establishing what they want for Agatha and her perception in the MCU. Because that is something that if you read the comics, she's a very complex character, and especially with how many people she's connected with. So to see how she's set up in this role, I really thought they nailed that, especially with where they're going next. And if you haven't been watching all the MCU shows, I mean, they have literally given you the blueprint of what they're doing. And once they get here, that's when things are going to go all types of crazy for that.
Yes, I'm so excited to see what happens next. I don't know what else I can say without spoilers. So are we ready?
Yeah, we'll give the chat fair warning now. As you're tuning in, we are going to be talking about spoilers from episodes 8 and 9 of Agatha All Along from Disney Plus. So if you need to duck out, now is the time to do it. Otherwise, chat, super chat, join in the reactions because we got a lot to break down. So let's get into it in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk some spoilers.
Alrighty. So I'm ready. So I am so excited that a couple of our theories were correct one, that the Witch's Road was created by Wiccan, and that it was at least formed by him somehow, whether it existed or not prior. The fact that it didn't exist at all before was insane. Also, setting Agatha up to be closer to her Witch's Road counterpart, because in the James Robinson Scarlet Witch run, of course, Agatha in ghost form accompanied Wanda down the Witch's Road. And so, kind of doing a twist on that, having her end there, it, I don't know, I loved it. I also loved the Hocus Pocus style. I'll call it CGI. But no, I'm glad that the duo is still together and they're kind of finding a common ground. She is stepping more into that mentor role. So now Billy can be Scarlet Witch power, but actually trained. And so I'm really interested to see where he pops up next, because he's going to know a lot more this time around, and he's going to be a lot more sure of himself, so he can get right to the nitty gritty. I'll let somebody else talk, because I will sit here and talk forever.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, for one, he looks awesome. Like that super suit. I was the whole time I've been like, how are they going to do that and it not just look cheesy, like glitter up the sides or something?
Yeah.
His cosmic suit.
And I think he looks awesome.
No, I agree. And we have already, with the little bit of time that we had between finishing episode 9 and this stream, we have already dissected his entire outfit. I could probably draw it with 90% accuracy. But it is pretty cool that they took his comic suit, they took his teen suit and kind of morphed the two, because it's a modified version of his pants that he wore on the road, his dark gray pants with the star shapes on it. He's got like a pinstripe down the middle now, and still the ripped knees. He's got, instead of the gray sweater, I don't know what the technical term for that, it's now black, a little bit thinner, and it has plating over top of it, but it's fabric.
It looks like the chest plating goes down and connects to the pants, but like this part is a shirt,
and it's the same shape as his comic counterpart, and you got the cosmic kind of look without having it, and then that blue detailing down the side. Like I said, I'll try not to rant too much.
There's a lot to rant about it, because, like you say, we finally see Wiccan in the full costume. And just to answer, obviously, every super chat, throw your questions in here. We'll answer best we can. Renzi VR is asking, is Billy less powerful after Agatha absorbs some of his power? I have to think yes, but that's also going to be something that we've seen with Wanda a little bit, because we never really knew her full capabilities, and that's ever an evolving thing. So now seeing what Billy's going to be doing as his year one of Wiccan, shall we just say, it's going to be kind of fun to see how that plays out, because when they go through the final test of the Witch's Road, I think it's kind of a little bit of a bait and switch, because you think it's the scene that opens up with the surviving 3 members, but I think the final test was handling death head on.
Yeah. I also think, God, what was I going to say? Go back like 2 sentences. So Billy being less powerful after Agatha absorbs some of his power. So I think that's really up to whatever writer gets to them next, because you saw with Wanda, I mean, Agatha drained her power at the end of WandaVision, but kind of. She did drain it back, but we saw Wanda be way more powerful after WandaVision.
Right.
But I mean, she did absorb Agatha's power, so that could be a way around it. So I think that depending on the writer, they could just decide, be like, it's Billy. He's got unlimited power. He's meant to be the demiurge.
It's not like you just have like a finite amount of power. So it would replenish within himself anyway at some point, just like your body replenishes like electrolytes.
I'd say as soon as he no longer looked 112, then it was
Yeah, I mean, we do have to power him down a little bit so we can gradually rebuild him up.
Oh no, I want him full force.
Just from a storytelling aspect, you got to have that character building. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, Joe Locke in this role too. just how much of an amazing job he did with this character and really ran a few places with it. And seeing him now all set for his own quest on his own road, I really think that they did a great job, almost echoing what they did in the original Avengers movies. Is they gave like this is his origin movie or series, I should say. So now when we see him where they're eventually going, you're really going to get that payoff. And now it's going to be that much more of an instant connect because with how everything's been set up here, I really thought they did a good job about saying like he is trying to be a hero. He's trying to be his own identity and get out of his mother's shadow and really forge his own path. And especially with what goes down in the beginning here, because I mean, have we ever had such a villain be as dynamic as one Aubrey Plaza's Rio / Death?
No, and she killed it on top of that house.
Oh my God.
My question is about that is how much of that was Aubrey Plaza acting and how much of that was just that Aubrey Plaza just having fun on set? And I think that that's one of the things that's so buzzword enchanting about the show is that you can just tell how much fun everybody had the entire time and how much they really believed in what they were doing.
Oh, and that kiss.
Yeah. To establish the love affair between Agatha and Death. I mean, they really, the one thing I echo with you too, everybody on this cast really had fun with this. And they really elevated like what is honestly a dark story into like a very bright, entertaining, especially with the music aspect, which I really thought stood out for this show. And really gave it like its own identity, especially going off the performances of Catherine Hahn, who just really just ate up every scene, stole it, took it to a different level. The cast, and I mean, how much of a great Covenant did she have other than, like I say, this Covenant right here, we have to give their proper props to.
Oh, I know. I love every single one of them.
Yeah, and I truly don't think that this show would have been the same without every single one of them. And speaking of the Coven, I do wish we got a little bit more closure for Jen.
Yes.
But it's definitely gives end of WandaVision vibes where she flies off and then we see her another time.
Speaking of that, I full on thought that Billy was going to take off like Wanda after he put his hood up and was walking down the street.
Out of Agatha's house the first time.
Yeah, and then he just casually gets in his car.
It was great. And then the Westview residents were like, what's happening? Is it happening again? Or are we good? Should we leave? But no, if rumors are true and Marvel is fast-tracking Midnight Suns, Jennifer Kale does have a strong history with Midnight Suns.
That's true.
So whether that was the plan or not, and seeing the success of this show, I hope they at least put her somewhere in there. I would love to see this character again. I fully
think she's coming back. I think that either she's going to be in the next Doctor Strange project, whatever that's going to be, whether that's Midnight Suns or not, or if they ever get Blade up and running, I could see her making an appearance in that. Or even a left field one, which I mean, they could try doing. And I mean, obviously, Marvel thinks a lot of things. If they try doing their own version of Strange Academy,
I would love that.
Yeah, I think the Strange Academy would go over really well. But I know that they're focused on one young team, and that's the one they're going to be focusing on for the next couple Disney Plus series, I would imagine. And it all harkens back to where we saw with the Marvels and what one Miss Marvel is planning and starting her own initiative. And I think this is where all the roads are kind of getting tied together because like with this episode, we had Death tie up loose ends and really wanted to establish the balance. I mean, did you guys feel that this was a balance of power too when she was demanding about Billy surrender himself because technically he doesn't exist?
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't even know what to say about it.
I'll say still a little shooketh. I would agree with that. Agatha sacrificed herself. She's technically not alive anymore. She has no power, and that was always her biggest thing. And so, in the end, Death got what she wanted. And so, Agatha can still mentor Billy. We can do Strange Academy. We can do Young Avengers with her being a mentor, but she can no longer hurt any other witches. Like she can't absorb their power anymore. And I think that this was, as sad as I am to see her not be able to do as much, I this was the way to keep her going forward without completely getting rid of her. Now the question is Wanda a ghost or real? Or who will play Tommy?
That's going to be a great question where he pops up. And actually kind of tying into where Blake made a great comment here in the chat too about Jennifer Kale could show up in Ironheart since that's magic versus tech possibly. I don't doubt that that is where we see this path go. And we don't have a run-in maybe with one Agatha Harkness and a certain Hood in Ironheart, kind of setting the stage about what is happening there. Because I think depending on what Marvel wants to do to set up the Young Avengers, I think that you could kind of plug and play a little bit here. But with Catherine Hahn's character being so popular, like she will come back in some way. I'm even going to kind of throw out a left field guess that I don't doubt seeing her in the Fantastic Four movie. It's a period.
Yeah, I would love that. That would be such a good callback to the comic where like that was what got her start. And so
yeah,
I would love that. Also, just selfishly, the Fantastic Four movie is like everything that I would ever want a Fantastic Four movie to be. Like this whole phase has just been for me, the good and the bad. So sorry, anybody that doesn't like.
Yeah, we joke about it all the time that it was just directly catered to you.
Yeah. But I would love to see her in that. I don't know exactly how she would fit in that. I also in Ironheart, depending on how much they lean into the mystic side of it, because it might be one scene where the Hood gets power and then we just focus on the Hood versus Riri's tech. It depends on what balance they're going for with that. And I think that until we see some more trailer, we're not going to know.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't think that we'll get Jennifer, Agatha, whatever in Ironheart. With Mephisto being rumored, I think that would be the only other mystic being other than the Hood that we would get. But then again, I have no idea what Ironheart is at its core about. So who knows?
Yeah. I think that one's going to be wide open. And that's why I say I don't doubt a cameo after this. Because, I mean, we've already shown that Agatha and Wiccan have handled death. So now on their quest to go find life, I think it would come across finding somebody with a heart. So that, like I say, it kind of parallels into that. Because episode 8's real core strength was the standoff with death. And was that kind of full circle moment going on with Billy and Agatha. And really kind of bringing out the best and showing how like Agatha has really been trying to redeem herself and sees a way to do this with Billy, would you say?
I would 100% agree that Agatha sees this as a way to redeem herself. I mean, the only reason she was the witch killer was to get power and cheat death. And now she no longer has to worry about that. And I think that her connection with Billy in episode 9 really shows that she has no excuse not to be the at least lukewarm guy, not necessarily the good guy, because she's always going to be a little salty.
I'm just glad we're going to see them teamed up again at some point. Like they full on said it in that last episode, like we make a good team. And I agree. They play off each other incredibly well.
Their chemistry is insane. And I mean, Catherine Hahn's chemistry with literally every single person on the show is insane. But no, I'm really glad that they will get the chance. Now, no matter what, it will depend on, again, what writer and what projects are going forward with all the shuffling around going on at Marvel. The story for this show has been done for quite a bit at this point, and they've been shuffling around since then. So we'll have to see. That maybe they got scared of it before it came out and shuffled it out. We're just going to have to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that with how the show left everything, that it is very wide open. And I think that's kind of a smart move for them too, because with the ultimate goal is to get to Young Avengers. They got some time to go and venture and connect with some of the other characters here too, because we do know about the slate that's coming out with, Daredevil Born Again, Captain America Brave New World, Fantastic Four next year, Ironheart is coming, and the other shows that they've introduced now too. There is some kind of connections they'll be had, because let's face it, it's Marvel, it's all connected. But where it kind of starts here is you're starting to see the core members get focused, and especially with this playing out and really giving that effect of building this universe here too. Like I say, it harkens back to the Avengers, and that's why I think the show really connected, because everybody was really stepping that game up too, and I think they knew about the goal was to get Wiccan over with the crowd.
Yep.
And they did that goal with flying colors. The only thing, sorry for coughing so much. The only thing that I'm unsure about, I'm not exactly sure what their Young Avenger route is, either prior to the Shuffles or post the Shuffles. The person that they have putting together the whole team of Young Avengers, Miss Marvel, has never been a Young Avenger. She was a member of the Champions. And so are we getting Young Avengers plus Kamala Khan, or are we getting a mixture of the Champions and Young Avengers?
They're going to mix it.
Because now we have all of the Young Avengers except like one, right?
Well, I think
I don't know what lineup they're doing.
What is it?
It's depending on what lineup they're doing, because I think it's going to be a mix of Young Avengers, Champions.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that Ironheart is pretty much going to take the place of Iron Lad.
Yeah, I think
it's
so. It's
just going to be a mashup. Marvel loves to mash up characters, so why not mash up a team?
No, I definitely think that's the case.
Yeah.
No, the only issue with that is that Iron Lad was King the Conqueror.
I know, but they're just substituting it out. It's still somebody in an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Like I say, it just really depends on what the story they want to go with. But obviously where things left off, we had the trials take place here. And then obviously with everybody surviving, there still is one challenge that's left. And they did finally address something that we've all known about for a while. And that was Billy's brother, Tommy. And to see where, how did you feel about how they introduced him and his origin in episode 8?
I really liked it. I thought it was creative, and I don't know, it adds to a mystery, and it gives them something to go forward with.
Yeah, and it gives Billy a little bit more of a good guy vibe, since we've kind of need that a little bit. But making sure that he's asking, am I killing this killing this kid to bring Tommy back? But no, just fighting for survival. And that's the whole big theme of witchcraft for this show.
I think it was a really creative way to explain why he came forward, but Tommy wasn't, and why they're not going to look the same.
And then we didn't get to see him, dang it.
Yeah. I will say
him drown, but
yeah, I would say that was the one thing I thought they could have just done, is shown him. Just like either at the final scene in episode 9 and fade to black and be done. I thought they should have done that.
I'm worried that that's going to be a whole nother big saga, and I don't think it needs to be. I think that we do need to push forward a little bit faster at this point to assemble Billy, Tommy, Young Avengers. I don't think every single one of them needs their own journey before we get to Young Avengers. But I am a little afraid that that's kind of the point of Vision Quest at bringing forth, because they're doing a little bit of blending. They are doing West Coast Avengers plus Tom King, at least at the moment. But I'm worried that all of this is just baby steps, assembling Young Avengers, and then baby steps to get Wanda back. And I think that we left off strong with Agatha. Let's speed it up a little bit. I would have loved to see a post-credit scene with him at least seeing Tommy fade to black. We're good to go. But I don't need a whole nother series to introduce him.
And plus, I don't think they need to with him. I think we all have an idea. From seeing WandaVision, that was his origin story per se. But I think it'll just be the connection that they'll play out in Young Avengers, much like they did in the comic series, the first run. That's where you'll see that connection. That'll be his quote unquote origin story too. with whatever the lineup's going to be. But for where they needed to cap things off with episode 8, I mean, they really did it. And plus, one thing I loved is the true explanation of the Witch's Road, and then how it tied back into his room.
Yes.
When you saw that one, like, what was your reaction to that?
I mean, we've talked the whole time about how things in the room directly related to the Witch's Road, specifically a lot of the Wizard of Oz stuff. So it was really cool to kind of see Billy start to think that way, and then we were like, "Oh crap, it is intentional."
Yeah.
And then he kept grabbing more stuff, and then stuff we didn't catch the first time, like I didn't catch the Ouija board. And then just to kind of see his wheels turning the same way that ours were, and then just confirming it, like
I thought
we never get any of that crap right. So we were like, oh my God, we're right.
I thought it was really creative and helped tie him in with Wanda. Like, she created a world, he created a world. Like, I don't know. I just think it was very reminiscent of her, and it just helped tie it in together even more.
It's their tell. They create the world they want to see.
Yeah.
This is true.
Since this goth teen was into all this spooky stuff, Agatha was like, yeah, okay, you made this. Because learning that Agatha and her son over the years crafted the Witch's Road song, or the Ballad of the Witch's Road, that adds so many layers to all of the story that we've seen thus far. So Agatha knows that it was crap the whole time.
Yeah.
And so she knows somebody created this road. So that was her tell. So when we hear that she thought it from the beginning, she wasn't kidding, because she's like, okay, something made this road. This did not exist. I created this song. And so I think that that was his tell, was that he was a reality warper.
Yeah. I can't wait to go back and rewatch it again, knowing everything now.
Yeah.
And seeing it again.
We don't need to work tomorrow, right? We can just do it all over again.
Yeah, I think they have to start doing this when the Marvel finales happen. It has to be like an official day off of work, so everybody can recap and rewatch, because there is a lot to process with this. I mean, the details that they put in about his family, especially him returning after the showdown with death, going back to Westview, then to Eastview, and then now having that confrontation with Agatha at the end, especially with, I love how they set up her character too, with the comic authentic hair, the ghost vision, like everything. This is the Agatha we know from the comics. And I love how they set it up and really had that, the frenemy bond that they've been establishing, but it was almost like the frenemy family, if you will.
Yes.
And
I love that.
Yeah. To really hit that point home, because no matter what, I mean, there's always been that honor amongst thieves throughout this entire series, especially with the Witch's Coven, that there was that certain layer of untrust. But this is Agatha almost to the point, like she's having that like moment of clarity that, like, yeah, I am at fault. Like, I'm the problem. It's me. And then has to kind of translate that to Wiccan and to get him to buy in, because I think that she knows, like, when he gave her the powers and refueled her, like, he's a genuine person. I think it finally got into her. And I love how she made the connection between him and Nicholas Scratch. Yes. And how that was the key factor to kind of absolve her for like what she thought and then what she wants to do. Would you say?
Yeah. And so building Agatha's trust in Billy, but then now going back to what we were saying earlier about how she can't steal power anymore. So she physically can't do harm. She can only contribute pretty much at this time. So Billy can trust her now, because it's not her main motivation for anything bad she's done. She can't do anymore. And so there is that mutual trust there of, yeah, you're kind of sour, but you're not going to steal my power. So you have no reason to trick me or deceive me. And I'm kind of your only friend right now. I'm the only one that stood by you this entire time. I've proven to you that I can see past all of the rumor, all of the surface level crap. So I think that he really earned a spot in Agatha's trust that nobody else has bothered to look past. And I think that Billy knows now Agatha can't do any harm if she's willing to help me and still be with me. We have been through all of this crap together. So yeah, it is interesting to see the dynamic shift from just I still don't trust you. I just want to get to the end of the road to, okay, now we have each other. We've been through like experiences. We can trust each other in certain ways. And it's just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
And
Not
I
as
agree
easy.
with Blake in the chat saying that Marvel definitely needs to keep Jack Schaefer for future projects because she's 2 for 2 right now. I mean, she knows her characters. Her stories are about the characters. It's a deep dive. It's a coherent story, and it's something that people can really latch on to because she's always got this overarching theme. So with WandaVision, it was grief. With Agatha, it was belonging. And, you know, I'll choose to, I want my purple back.
Can we just say poor William's parents, though?
Those
Yeah.
poor innocent people. Their son disappears. Well, one, they haven't had their son in 3 years. Two, they think so son has been gone for 24 hours with cuts, and then
immediately leaves again. And
Yeah.
God knows where he's gonna go with Agatha at this point to find Tommy.
yeah, did he tell his parents he was
No.
leaving to go find his hex brother?
He just walked out of the room. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
didn't say a word, just took off. And it's like
I'm fine, guys, but my imaginary brother, I need to go find
Yeah,
him with this ghost lady.
For somebody who was so concerned and saying that he had a mom.
Yeah. He's like, "Yep, I don't care. Yeah, yeah, you guys do what you do. I'm out of here. Like, you know,
Yeah,
be back.
I got my
maybe.
memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Save my mail. I'm
And
good."
that's true. How much of his memory does he have back now?
See,
Is it just the finale, like the final scene with him and Tommy falling asleep, or does he have more of that hex memory? Does he recognize Wanda
I think he
as his
remembered it
mom?
all. I think he remembers it all now.
Yeah. I think when they did the trial in the morgue, that's what I'm going to call it after they got their shoes back on. I thought that clicked in. And when Agatha was saying about reaching for Tommy, like that unlocked everything.
Yep.
Because you just start seeing that quick, flash of memories go. And I'm like, yeah, he's now got everything back. So to see how like that shifts, that I think is really now kicked him in that, yeah, his former life as Billy Kaplan is gone. And how he's going to explain that to his adoptive family, I don't know how we do this.
I would have liked to see that happen.
I could actually see Marvel just glazing over it.
Yeah,
and we not talking about it anymore.
The Kaplans aren't important. We need to move on.
I just see a lot of Doctor Strange just popping in, mind wiping people, and like walking away.
Yeah.
You never had a kid. He died in the car crash.
Yep. These are not the droids you're looking for.
But no, I would have really liked to see a scene with Billy and his, I don't know, kind of biological parents now. I would have liked to have seen that scene with them actually opening up, talking about it. And I agree with Blake. I would have liked to see that they knew the whole time, but accepted him anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's part of I'm being selfish and just wanted more Billy scenes. Because Joe Locke killed it. No matter what emotion, what relationship he was trying to portray, he killed this show.
I thought he really
possible.
Yeah, I thought he really got into his groove at the origin episode, and then he really picked his game up like after that point.
Once he was allowed to be a little smiteful, then
like he really found his voice, and you could really see it like with his acting and portrayal, and especially now like what he's doing. And I don't doubt that maybe they'll do like a brief thing whenever they get rolling on his next project about explaining the parents, or I could just see that being like the post-credit scene after like some episode coming up.
Yeah.
Just explaining that super quick. Like, yeah, we know who you are. Like, go do what you got to.
I am surprised we didn't get a post-credit scene at the end of this.
Yeah.
Even if it was just Kamala Khan at the end being like,
yeah, like there was so many different directions. I thought there would be a post-credit scene of like either Kamala Khan, Tommy, or even the parents, something. thought there would be something.
Or
But
just something goofy,
Yeah.
like Ghost Agatha trying to cope with being a ghost. Like, I don't know. I feel like I just expect a post credit, like not from every episode from the shows, but I expect it from the final episode.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
it was
again, maybe they
interesting.
didn't know exactly where they were going next. They were just having eggs in different baskets, trying to give themselves options. So the post credit scene would kind of lock them into something. Or maybe they had one and then just took it out after the reshuffling, honestly.
I think that might have been the case because
Yeah.
they've always had one done, and maybe they wanted to do something with Vision Quest and they held off. Like maybe
Could have.
they didn't want to tie in too much in the Scarlet Witch. They want to give Agatha and Wiccan the time. And I thought when they played that in, I really thought that went, you know, to that place. Or I agree, like with MP Chaos here, like wanted Wanda back. And like I say, if they just did like the
Yeah.
silhouette, like they didn't even need to get Elizabeth Olsen, even though that would have been amazing. Just like the silhouette with like the red, beaming off or something, just to kind of explain like how they're going to do this. I thought,
See, I want Wanda back, and I guarantee we're getting her back. But expectation management, halfway through the show, we shifted to show that Billy wanted Tommy back from the Witch's Road. So to kind of only tease that Tommy is now in existence, I do think that some people's expectations are going to fall a little bit short. Now, I'm fine with it because I don't, just like in the comics, nobody really cares about Tommy.
Yeah.
He gets shoved under the rug all the
It's
time.
true.
I still
It's
think
true.
I think Marvel is just playing it safe, and they want to make sure, like, they don't want to promise something they're not 100% sure that they can follow through with.
And they
So-
wanted to see how this end product would go. There was a role of teen in Vision Quest that they were casting for. So maybe they just didn't want to cast him until later, or maybe that's Vin. Who knows? You're not going to give your theories about Vin. We don't have 45 minutes to talk nonsense. But yeah, Wanda's coming back. I know it. Jack Schaefer knows it. You know it.
Yeah.
It's just how to get her back. And I think that's why I'm okay that we didn't get her at the end of the road, because this show wasn't about her. And it never should have been. It was very much Agatha's show, as shown by episode 9 to the very end. After Agatha was dead, it was still her show. She's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And leave it up to Agatha, even in death. Girl, this is still my show. I will haunt to be able to be in my show.
Indeed. I mean, that was the whole point to bring it back. And that's why I think when they gave her the epilogue episode, I mean, it was a solid epilogue for her. And I think that's what we needed for her, for a character. Like, I don't know how, coming off that big episode 8, though, that was the only thing I would say I didn't like about it.
Agree.
It was just like, we hit that moment, like that's the mic drop. Even if they just ended it with just Wiccan screaming and just left everybody, like that would have been horrible, but it would have been great though, too, at the same time. But to go back and then get Agatha's backstory and like I say, it built into what we saw at the end, that, we understand her loss with Nicholas Scratch in the early.
It almost felt like the last episode was just an end credit scene, just a very long end credit scene.
And I'm cool with it
itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I was fine with that end scene. I was like, that's what we needed here, because they have to set up for where they're going next. And obviously where they're going next is Young Avengers. It's just a matter of how we get there.
Surprisingly, they showed a lot of the final episode. Now, out of context, sure, but they showed a lot of that final episode in the trailers, like the early trailers. Jen crawling out of the ground, Billy with his star door.
I mean, it worked. We didn't know where they were going with any of it.
No, and then I mean the Rio line, the bodies are really piling up. I don't remember if we saw that and they just digitally took out the crown for the trailer, or if we just heard her say it. I've been avoiding trailers for 5 weeks now, just because I've wanted to go in it fresh, because the day of, they keep releasing these, kept, past tense, sad. They kept releasing these scenes ahead of time, and I watched the first time they did that, and I was like, well, that kind of took away from the scene when I actually saw it.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know what we saw in trailers anymore.
And that's,
my memory could be false.
No, but I honestly think they do fake scenes too, just to throw the internet off, which in this day and age, I mean, it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
because so much gets leaked that you sit there and watch, and you know, as a viewer, you don't want to know the whole story right before you watch it. You want to see it unfold. You want to have that impactful moments. And I think nowadays, I mean, it's just everything gets leaked out so much, and especially trailers. I mean, there are many examples that give the entire movie away. And it's like, well, why?
And I'm my own worst enemy because I will go seeking. If I hear that there's a spoiler or something, I can't resist. I like go.
I'll say he doesn't mind
it.
spoilers. He will know everything, and I do mind spoilers, so I try to go in knowing nothing.
Really do like the surprise, like that second to last episode. I was actually shook. Like
it's because you have zero impulse control.
But I can't help it. I have zero impulse control. I have to know the secrets.
It's called unmedicated ADHD.
But you know, when the story catches you so much like this, it's like everybody was really clamoring for it. And that's something that I think for the MCU we haven't had in a while. Like there's been like, because remember when like WandaVision came out, like everybody was talking about it. And then the other shows that followed suit. I mean, even like the Hawkeye, I think Hawkeye was the last one everybody had the big build for. And then it kind of tapered off a bit. Like it's still good shows, but like the public had been waiting for like that big like game changer moment. And I think for a lot of the pop culture audience, they haven't gotten over Avengers Endgame. That we're in a new era. We're trying to introduce new heroes, new characters, and everybody is still clamoring for the original lineup, which I mean is a testament to how much they got over. But at the same time, if you want to move forward, you have to introduce new faces into the MCU. And this is the first time I think in a while that it had that old school buzz to it. Like we were all like, you know, we're going to see Mephisto, or we're going to see Wanda. Who are we going to see? Like going into tonight's episode, I mean, that's where really it drew, you know, my attention. I think a lot of the Nerd Initiative audience too. Like everybody had been talking about it too.
Yeah, and I think that that's where the disconnect is that people don't realize the difference between a comic book, a cartoon, and a cinematic franchise. All of these actors are real life people that age, they have other gigs that they have to do, they have a career. If you have a cartoon, you can have that character be as long as you want to. If you have a comic book, you can bring them in whenever. But just the people that can't get over them having to bring in new things or even wanting to bring in new things. Marvel has such a rich comic history that we've only seen so much of it up until Endgame, that my favorite Marvel has been actually post Endgame, because that's when all of my comic book characters have come to life and all of my stories have started to happen.
Well,
and so it's just most of those people either read one comic book and stick to it and don't realize that there's a whole store of different stories to go to, or they don't understand how big Marvel really is, and they get attached to one character. And it's in the true I'll say human fashion, we kick and scream when we don't get exactly what we want. And to those people, I say, I am getting exactly what I want. So you had how many over 20 movies to enjoy before you even started having these feelings? Give me like 3, okay?
I'm actually excited to like for the linearness of it. Like comic books used to do that, and then they kind of just stopped in their tracks and time stood still. Like I think it would be interesting to see how these people grow and become old, and
you have to because they're physically aging as they do these roles.
I think it's exciting. I don't want like a reboot down the line to get Iron Man all over again. I want to keep going. I want to see Old Man Wiccan. And I want to
see the real Jimmy Urge. But and also what people don't realize is when you can't have these characters or these actors play the same character for so long, they think what they want is a reboot to get back those characters. But then that reboot would happen and then they would complain that they weren't the original actors. And what you really want is just to watch the movie that you watched again for the first time. And you'll never get that. And so their expectations are physically impossible. End rant. Sorry.
No, I mean, like I say, it's just it's the effect the MCU has on everything here too. And I think like, you know, for what this show did, it really got everybody excited again, and for where the direction we're going. I mean, is there any kind of final statement you want to put on the Agatha series?
I just want to say with my little invisible award here, thank you, Jack Schaefer and the writing team of Agatha All Along. I will say, for a show that people claim nobody asked for, it is a show that has been well done.
Ugh.
The cast, the crew, everyone did such a great job on it. It's an important story. It's one of the most well-written things in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's the amount of love and craftsmanship that has went into this project. I hope that anybody that came to it with toxic feelings can give it a chance and actually see it for what it is. I am very happy also because, I mean, being a comic book fan and a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, having Billy be represented in mainstream and his representation being done so well and his character being treated with love and respect and well writing and purpose, this show, it means so much to me and a lot of people in my community. And I'm finally feeling what all of the Iron Man fans felt, what all of the Captain America fans felt when all of the a little bit more stereotypical, more, I guess we'll say, general population can relate to more specifically. I'm finally getting to feel what that's like, and that feeling is incredible. So, if nothing else, thank you for making this show for me. The show has been incredible. It's also brought me an amazing community. It's brought me amazing opportunity. And so this show has just been incredible on screen and off the screen. And it has been a ride that I am forever grateful for.
Excellent.
Yeah, I just want all of the Wiccan merch. That's all I'm thinking about right now. It's just like I love how he looks. I love how this show is and the look of it all, and such a passionate LGBT kiss in the MCU was amazing too. Like it's not just like, oh, two girls kissing in the MCU. That was like a very dramatic,
Mm-hmm.
very passionate kiss. And
I was about to say, we got like a peck in Eternals, but this was, you cannot edit it out. It is important to the story. It had to be there.
yeah,
I also do like that my reflection of the show was such a heartfelt reflection, and your reflection was, I want to buy stuff.
yeah, definitely.
You're such a consumer.
What did you think?
You know, I thought this show really did a great job, telling the love story between Agatha and Death and really showcasing a different side of Agatha Harkness that we don't know from the comics. That I thought this really gave Catherine Hahn's performance, gave it so much depth and really connected with the audience about having that, mother-son relationship with, Jolok's Wiccan, that it really did a great job about showcasing that and her, tragic love story with Death. And, like you touched upon, like they really did a good job about pushing that to the audience and really telling a fantastic story while also establishing the future of the MCU, which is Young Avengers. And they teased a lot with Wanda, but for dabbling into the magic side of the MCU, I thought they did a very, very good job. That it doesn't always have to be Doctor Strange. It doesn't always have to be the Scarlet Witch. Like, we have a new character in Wiccan that we're really pushing forward, and let Agatha be Agatha. That she didn't need to be the villain per se, because she is so multi-layered that, yeah, sometimes she's a hero, sometimes she's a villain, sometimes you never know what you're going to get out of her, but you're going to get something. So I thought they did an excellent job about doing this. And like I say, I really enjoyed episode 8. Like, I thought that should have been the finale. And I thought for overall, like, we did get the payoff because now it's a fully established. We have a speed in the MCU. Who's it going to be is anybody's guess, but I think it's suffice to say we're all here for the ride.
Yes.
And if they're still casting, I can lose weight for the role. Just saying.
We do have people at Marvel that do check this show out, so definitely never know who's going to be popping in for that. We'll just put it that way. Before we get out of here, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. And why don't you tell everybody where to find you and the Bleeding Rainbow Comics?
Yes, thank you so much for having us. You can find us, Bleeding Rainbow Comics, on YouTube, on Facebook, our biggest platforms. We are also on all the other things like Instagram, TikTok, Threads, etc. But yes, please check us out. We also have a brand new comic book that came out last week, so check out all our socials to check that out. Support all of the amazing things that we've been able to do, and thank you for so much support that we've had. Thank you for Nerd Initiative for supporting us further. And thank you everybody for supporting Agatha all along. I had no idea how this was going to go, and I am beyond thrilled with the part that Bleeding Rainbow has been able to, I guess, play in that. It
And
has
thank
been
you.
such an important part to all of us. Thank you everybody in the chat. Thank you
Yeah.
for everybody that's going to watch this video. But yeah, YouTube, Bleeding Rainbow Comics, Facebook, Bleeding Rainbow Comics. Shoot us a message if you would like a physical version of one of our comic books as well. And that's my whole spiel, my whole plug of rant.
Yeah, and you can see above LJ on the screen is a QR code, so you can definitely go follow them. It'll take you right to everything going on with Bleeding Rainbow because they do fantastic stuff. I was super excited when we got the chance to have them on to talk Agatha all along because they've been killing it on their stream, which they'll be doing a deeper dive tomorrow with their own coven. So you definitely want to make sure you
check it
set
out.
reminders for that because they've been doing coven chat since the episodes started rolling out, and they do fantastic work. So LJ, when guys, thank you so much for coming on. Definitely, it's been a blast.
Thank you
And
so
then-
much. We'll see y'all tomorrow for Coven Chat.
Absolutely. And then last but certainly not least, for the home of pop culture positivity, nerdinitiative.com. It'll take you to the website, take you to the YouTube channel, take you to the comic book review team that is setting the world on fire right now. The Nerd Initiative Bullpen is dropping 30 reviews on this new comic book day. And we've got a lot of news that would be breaking sooner than later. I am not allowed to say what is coming, but let's just say 2024 is going to be the biggest year of Nerd Initiative yet. And you never know what's going to happen in 2025. I'm just going to leave it at that. So thank you to everybody who's been jumping in the chat tonight. Blake's been crushing it there with the comments. Listen, and if you haven't checked out Agatha all along, make sure you check it out on Disney Plus because there's going to be a lot of fallout coming in the MCU. And what a time to be a Marvel fan because Marvel is back in a big way.